All right. If you're a Cleetus McFarland fan and you're tuning in because we put him in the thumbnail just like we did the last episode, hear me out. Before you pass judgment on how we at KLAS Motorsports and the Racing with KLAS podcast feel about Cleetus McFarland, do me a favor, watch this episode all the way through. And I think at the end of it, you're going to come to the same conclusion that we did, which is Cleetus McFarland's a race car driver. Andy J's a race car driver. That comes with a little bit of competitiveness. Before you pass judgment on us as a racing team, just watch the episode and hear us out, would you?
Nope. I'm just going to put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
All right, racing with KLAS in a very loud, noisy garage because it is load day for Kansas. How are we feeling, Andy?
Feeling pretty good. It's load day. Load day is a very stressful day. So we're getting through it though. It's 9 o'clock here on the East Coast, and we're humming along. We've got one car in and another one going in. So this week has been sort of a new experience for all of us. We're bringing 2 cars with us this time, and both are going to be on the racetrack. So we have a test session that we're going there for in the morning on Friday at Kansas, and then we race at night. So we're going to actually practice both cars and pick up the bench one and go from there. So basically, for being a small team, that's quite an undertaking. So this is a brand new experience for us for sure. So me, Mike, and Andy have been digging. We got our helper Daniel back there. He's going to school still. He pops in for a few hours here and there, but it's pretty much been me, Mike, and Andy really crunching away at it. So we had a little help from some friends with some crush panels and some vinyl wrap and stuff. So it's been we usually have a new friend every day with this and that, but it's definitely quite an undertaking to get 2 cars, ready to hit the racetrack. There's weeks we bring a backup car, but it would be, it would be a lot of work to get the backup car on the track. It's really there for, an emergency or possibly even, parts. Like we wrecked at Rocky and we had a backup car, but we concluded it was going to be quicker to fix what we had because it didn't tear it up too bad. So, this is new though. So this is a step and it's pretty cool. I think everyone's pretty excited to get going on these next 3 races we got here. We're racing every other week here. They're all intermediate style races. So both of these cars are in play for, here, Kansas and Michigan. So, we're in the heart of it. We were doing 5 races in 7 weeks and, we're coming up to the middle one here. So it's definitely been a grind. As you can see, I am, as CCR would say, still stuck in Lodi. I haven't been back to Buffalo in a while. I've been Shanghaied here at the shop helping out, which is A-okay. Just over here helping the guys. And, we've been going all hours one way or another. Andy gets up pretty early and goes, and then Mike comes along, and I usually get going around the time Mike does. And then, I'll usually work till I can't work no more. They say I don't get a lot done after like midnight, but I got the coffee going and I give it my best. So if I pick away at a couple things, there's a couple less things to do the next day, I figure. So, but it's been it's been pretty steady in here. We haven't run out of things to do in a long time.
So we got to talk about this off the top before we get into expectations for Kansas. Hey, we made some Cleetus McFarland fans really upset with our last episode, and I do not understand what the big fuss is about what we said. I just want to, if you're a Cleetus McFarland fan watching this, we didn't say anything that was like out of bounds. I feel like the Cleetus McFarland fans are being a little sensitive.
Yeah, I don't think we said anything out of bounds, and I've been at this a while, and I think in any form of competition, when you're one of the athletes, I think you subject yourself to some criticism for your craft one way or another. And you turn on ESPN, and if LeBron had a bad game, they're going to say he had a bad game, right? I think as athletes, I think it's fair to criticize anything. I think anything's up, well, it's not personal. We certainly didn't get personal, so, whatever.
Well,
we're kind of looking at it from from a racer's perspective
Yes.
versus the, you know, what NASCAR is today as far as, being social media driven and, what we have to do to, yeah, keep our sponsors happy and doing all that little stuff. And a lot of that is social media stuff. And, it's a balance though, too, because I'm a racer. Everything I do is because I want to be a racer and everything we do is for racing. But, you got to adapt and survive into, what racing has become. And this is a game where we are, you know, the successful teams are the ones that can successfully use social media. And Cleetus McFarland has one way of doing it. And, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. I mean, probably the best. I mean, look at the RFK social media set, Roush Fenway Keselowski. They just have so much fun, and
Yes.
it's gimmicky a little bit sometimes. But it's good. Like, it's funny. Like I watch it and I laugh, and they poke fun at themselves and they have a lot of fun with it. You know, it's a different shade of the same thing, right? But um, I think I think at some point it's fair to question when it goes past a certain point where we're not focusing on the racing anymore, though, and um, when it becomes more about, the theatrics off the track that it does what goes on the track. I think, we can always draw criticisms there and talk about that stuff. And I think that's all fair.
Well, and the one piece of criticism that I will take issue with, and anybody that watches this show knows I'm pretty protective of Andy and KLAS Motorsports. Those are my people. Those are this is as much my team as it is anybody else's, and I love these guys. But the one piece of criticism I will take issue with is the several people that said he's only going after Cleetus because he's famous. I can tell you from firsthand account, I have seen this man get out of a car and walk up to another driver with national cameras around him and get in the grill of another driver. So if Andy says something to Cleetus about his driving, he's treating him like every other driver. And if you're a Cleetus McFarland fan, I would look at that as a sign of respect that Andy is talking about Cleetus like he would any other driver, not as a YouTuber. And I think it's a sign of respect from one fellow racer to another.
Yeah, no, and I mean, for all the stuff going on, I mean, can't take it away from him. He went out there and did the job. So, uh, you know, I'm, I give him a lot of credit for that for sure. So, um, I think it's just a larger conversation, and I think we trail off with these, you know, these talks sometimes when we do our little podcast here. But I think it's just a part of the larger conversation of, you know, the theatrics of it and the social media side of racing versus, just the actual racing part of it. But it's funny because, we say all this stuff and we talk about how, it was different in the old days and, you can't picture these guys doing this stuff. And I learned this week that as a rookie in 1979, Dale Earnhardt had a bi-monthly column. His team required him to write like sort of a biographical column about how racing was going and what he was feeling and how, that, his kind of take on, if it was bi-monthly, 5, 6 races or so, he kind of recap all the races and talk about, his day and what was going on. And, so it's funny, as 1979, he was a rookie and, Dale Earnhardt's like, you know, Dale Earnhardt is race car driver. Like that's it. Race car driver is Dale Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt is race car driver. It's in the dictionary. You can Google it. But um it's funny to, we sit here and we moan and groan sometimes about how, maybe it's not always about the racing and, there is so much, other stuff going on that's social media driven and a lot of cameras and photo shoots at the track and all the stuff that goes on. But in a sort of way, it wasn't all that different back then, I guess, based on the amount of, back then it was newspaper technology and, now it's just a little bit more complicated, I guess, with all these cameras and stuff. So, but, it is a way for the fans to engage with the drivers and be part of it. And, I think it's cool that drivers have fun with it, and obviously everything that's going on right now with Cleetus, it's bringing attention to the ARCA series. So, um, and he's out there, he's running good, and you can't take nothing away from him. He was quick at Daytona, and he run 10th at Talladega and stayed out of trouble, and um, up there soaring like a bald eagle.
So if Dale Earnhardt had what in 1970 would have been considered Twitter, then this isn't new at all. It's just a little bit faster, maybe. It
Yeah,
would have.
probably a little bit faster, but isn't it kind of funny to try to think about, Dale Earnhardt having to pen his emotions down on he's probably I'm picturing it like he had to be on like a fucking typewriter or something, like a computer, so
Just angry typing.
but it's funny because I learned all this on the Dale Jr. download. I was listening to some stuff on Earnhardt, and Jr. was reading some of them, and it's pretty cool. He's you're talking to 28-year-old Dale. He doesn't know he's going to be a season rookie. He doesn't know he's going to be a 7-time champion, and you know maybe someday someone's going to look back on all this stuff, and it's going to be archived, and they're going to go, wow, look at how cool this was back then that these guys are doing this stuff, and um we mixed in a little bit of the YouTube entertainment and social media driven stuff and podcasts and everything that we're doing. They're going to look back on it, and maybe they'll shed on a different light, and they'll go back and go, wow, it was so much better back then, 30 years ago, because there'll be some sort of different version. And I think I think people are inherently similar by nature. Just I think the culture around them changes a little bit, and I think we do a lot of the same things. Just you know, we just react to our environment, and you can draw parallels with every generation, I'm sure. But um, you know, it's still fun.
All right, so we feeling dangerous in Kansas?
Kansas, I actually love Kansas. Kansas has become one of my favorite tracks. It's just a really cool track to drive. I'm not supposed to say that because I'm the staunch, traditional old school NASCAR guy. And, we should be going to Darlington and Atlanta all the time. But Kansas is a cool fucking racetrack. It's multiple lanes you can cruise around in, especially as the tires start wearing out. It's a miserable track if you don't have a good handling car, because if you are missing it a little bit, there's just the track doesn't have a ton of grip, so it can be a pretty long day. And I've experienced that. My first trip there, we went there, and it was I think we got lapped twice. It was just a long day. And then um you know last year we went there both races with a bunch of speed. The spring race we ran, I could put that car anywhere. We ran multiple grooves, and the fall race we qualified really good, and we probably weren't quite as fast in the beginning of the fall race, but at the end we had a couple of really good restarts, and we were on the 18th bumper coming to the white flag, and running second, and got choked up a little bit there, and then we got Corey Dade, but um, it is becoming one of my favorite places to go race, and it's the only track we go to twice now, so it's the track I'm gonna end up having the most laps on here by the end of it. Um, I really do. I do look forward to Kansas. It's a cool city. Um, you know, not a, obviously we don't like the Chiefs because I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, but other than that, it's a really cool city. It's a cool environment, and
It's got good
where
barbecue.
well, I'm a vegetarian, so that never,
It's for you, it doesn't matter, but it does have good barbecue.
No, it's in a really good part of town. There's always like cool places to eat. We always have fun when we go there, and it's one where you know is usually ends up being a little bit of a smaller group. The family doesn't travel as much, so there's a lot of good team bonding. It'll probably just be the crew plus a couple people, and our car owner Kevin gets a really cool camping spot, and then he'll go up. He's in the middle of 1 and 2, but he's like looking down into the racetrack on the outside of the racetrack. It's just a badass place to watch the race, but um, it's really cool. I am gonna race home. The plan is to race my modified Saturday, my Sportsman modified at Lancaster. So I have a 6 a.m. flight out of Kansas. Um, the guys are texting me right now. They're trying to slam the thing together, and I'm texting them the setups and all that because I'm usually the setup guy, but they're over there plugging away. So if they can get it, the compressor just kicked on. Can you still hear me? Yeah, yeah. So I actually lost my phone before I jumped on this thing. I thought I was 5 minutes late, but no, they're texting me and they're gonna bring the car to the racetrack, and I only have one crew guy left, so I didn't plan this because, as I said, we had a little bit of work to be done here. I was supposed to be back in Buffalo right now. I was gonna go home about 5 days ago was the original plan, and then the plan was to fly from Kansas back to here to get ready for Charlotte in case anything happens to Kansas. We keep planning you to see car at Charlotte, and basically Andy thought he needed me more this week, so I asked him if I could have a few days off next week instead. The car is going to be in transit for a few days anyway, and both the cars that we need for Charlotte are going to be in the box. So, the trailer is not even going to get back here till, Monday probably. So it was a good time for me to go home and regroup. And, I'm going to get a haircut here because you notice I wear a hat. It's because there's a lot of this getting ignored because, we've been down here for a little bit now. Hi, Andy. Oh, there he is. So basically we didn't plan any of this. So the crew, most of my modified crew is also the ARCA crew, and they're landing too late because these flights were already planned. I was the only one that didn't book a return flight because I can never figure out what the heck I'm doing with where I'm going. And I looked at it and I looked at the times and I found a flight. I'm like, man, I texted the guys. I'm like, yeah, we could make it. They're like, yeah, we probably could. I'm like, can we bring the midget too? And they're like, no, we're not bringing the midget. I'm like, okay. Just bring the sportsman. We just want to bring race cars fine. But if
Andy,
you get
always want
time,
more. Always want
put the
more.
midget in there. And they're like, no midget. I'm like, it's, frustrating because,
Because you're the midget
I'm at,
guy up there. That's your domain.
so, one of my 965 goals in racing is I really like, Lancaster is my home track, so I pay attention to where I'm on the all-time win list there. And I'm at 46, I think. And the all-time leader there is Siege Finanza. He's at 124. So I'm like 78 away. So if I really dig with like 2 cars every week, I might be able to catch him in 20 years, but I hate to take weeks off. And so the midget track that they have there, it's they don't race on the big track. They race on this little it's smaller than a quarter mile. It's super narrow. It's super hard to pass. And it's the first race of the year. So they're going to redraw. Now, normally when I run the midget series, they handicap. And because I don't run every race, you have a high handicap. So I'm always starting in the back. So usually it's tough for me to win at Lancaster with the midget because it's just so hard to pass. But this is a redraw race. I'm thinking like, oh man, maybe I could draw the pole. Maybe, maybe. But I didn't put any work into the midget before I left because I had no plans on running any modified stuff before until after Michigan. So, but they figured the Sportsman was close enough, so then that's our home track. There's a modified race too. It's about 3 hours away from Buffalo, but they didn't think they'd get the modified done in time. And I only have one crew guy left in Buffalo, and he basically said no. He said he'll go to Lancaster. He said he wasn't going to Chemung. So apologies to my modified fans. I won't be able to make it to Chemung, but we will be at Lancaster. So that'll make my mom happy and everyone back home. They can see me race, 20 minutes to jump on a plane or anything.
All right, last thing I've got for you before we let you load up. Beer of choice. I haven't asked you this, and I know you're a racer, so I know you guys drink beer. I think you have to. I think it's in the dictionary. Must be Dale Earnhardt fan. Must drink beer. So, what's the beer of choice for the KLAS Motorsports team?
The KLAS Motorsports team or the KLAS Motorsports driver? Because it's going to be different.
Oh, we got some contention on the beer brands in the shop.
Well, I'm from Buffalo, so it's going to be Genesee Beer Company. Because they're located in Rochester, so we love Genesee. Labatt Blue's pretty popular. They're headquartered in Buffalo. They're Canadian beer, but we're basically in Canada, so those are our 2 beers of choice for sure. Usually in the cooler over at Kevin's, there's I see Coronas, and Miller Lights. I want to say I think I saw some Coors Lights in there, but I'm thinking Dayton might have brought them. Dayton and Uncle Jake drink the most beer by far. Dayton drinks Coors Light and Jake drinks whatever he's holding. So, you know, Uncle Jake, if he was here, if he was sitting right next to me, my Uncle Jake, who went to my first go-kart race as my crew guy and is now my tire changer on the ARCA series. So he's been to everything well, day one to now. He goes over the wall still. If he was sitting right next to me, he would tell the story of the time that he was hanging out with Richie Evans, who's NASCAR Hall of Fame, and he was really good friends with my dad. My dad was one of his, building race cars over there at his shop and one of his proteges. But he was drinking beer with Richie Evans, and he went to the cooler at the same time as Richie, and there was only one PBR left, Pabst Blue Ribbon. And Richie asked him if he wanted to split it, and Jake said, "Yeah, I'll split a beer with you, Richie." So he was sitting here. That's the story he would tell.
I love it. All right, boys. Glad to see everything's working. I think we're firing on all cylinders. I'm excited for what Kansas looks like. And again, for Cleetus McFarland fan, we love you. Just
Yeah, all good. On to Kansas, but no, super excited. It's gonna be a stretch run here, 3 races. So, but what day are we releasing this? Are we on Thursday for this? Will this be out?
yeah, this will be up Thursday.
So if you're watching this, we'll be racing tomorrow. The race is on Friday night over at Kansas. We're the only cars there, on Friday. So Xfinity's off. So we're Friday ARCA, Saturday truck, and Sunday's Cup. So it's going to be an exciting weekend for sure.
Go out there to Kansas. If you're listening, you're near Kansas, get out there, watch Andy and the guys, and tell them you saw the podcast. That'll make me happy.
It'll be on Fox Sports 1 too. And then if you're following the Andy J Racing social media, along with the KLAS Motorsports social media, we'll be highlighting the haul back to Buffalo and making it happen. So hopefully everything works out there. It's if they can get the car done, because the guys getting the car done are coming to Kansas. So they what day is it?
I have no idea.
I think it's Tuesday. Yeah, so they probably gotta get on a plane Thursday morning. So they gotta hurry up. Maybe I'll go get on their asses a little bit when I find my phone.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.
Bye.